the lies beneath the mansion. Athena stood at the edge of her marble balcony, her silk robe fluttering gently in the ocean breeze. The waves crashed against the private shoreline below, far removed from the chaos of the city, and yet, her heart had never felt more chaotic. 5 years ago, Athena had been a name only whispered among the elite. Heiress to a shipping empire, she was born into wealth, but it wasn't until she took over the company after her father's sudden death that people began to fear her as well. She was beautiful, brilliant, and bold, a force in the boardroom and a ghost in the tabloids. She didn't crave attention, she craved control. Then came Michael. He wasn't like the men she was used to. He didn't wear tailored suits or sip $100 whiskey. He was American, sun-kissed skin, lazy smile, and a southern drawl that felt out of place in a room full of polished Europeans. She met him on a yacht in Monaco, where he worked as a mechanic for a billionaire's crew. She was bored. He was charming. The rest, as they say, was seduction wrapped in sweat and salt water. Everyone warned her. He's after your money. He doesn't belong in your world. He'll break you. But Athena had always been stubborn. Maybe it was the challenge, or maybe it was the way he looked at her, as if she were just a woman, not an empire. For the first time in years, she felt real. 2 years later, she married him. The wedding was an extravagant affair held on a cliffside in Santorini. Vows were exchanged under the setting sun, and guests whispered about how love had tamed the Ice Queen. She gave him everything: cars, properties, power. She even gave up part of her company, making him co-owner of one of her smaller brands. She thought she was building a life. He was building an exit. It started with little things. Late-night phone calls he wouldn't explain. Trips he took without telling her. A lipstick stain on his shirt that he brushed off as a waitress's mistake. And still, she doubted herself. Was she being paranoid? Was the trauma of past betrayals making her see ghosts? But ghosts don't send text messages. It was a rainy Thursday when she saw it. Michael had left his phone in the bathroom, and it buzzed while he was in the shower. She didn't mean to look. Or maybe she did. Somewhere deep down, she had already known. Can't wait to see you tonight. Same sweet? Red heart. From a contact saved only as J. Athena didn't cry. Not then. She simply set the phone back down, walked out of the bathroom, and made him his favorite coffee like she always did. He came out wrapped in a towel, kissed her cheek, and said he had a late meeting. She smiled and told him good luck. That night, she followed him. What she found wasn't just betrayal, it was mockery. The suite was in a hotel she owned. The woman was someone she had once hired, a former PR intern named Julia, whose only notable quality was how ordinary she seemed. Athena watched them laugh, kiss, and disappear behind the door of the suite. The next morning, Michael came home to find the locks changed and his accounts frozen. But that wasn't the end. That was just the beginning. Athena didn't scream. She didn't confront him with drama or demand explanations. That wasn't her style. She believed in precise strikes, not emotional outbursts. And so, while Michael sat outside the gates of the villa for hours, yelling her name, calling her phone, even trying to climb the stone wall, she remained inside, silent, calm, and calculating. She watched from the window with a glass of red wine, her face unreadable. He had no idea what he'd awakened. And soon, he'd learn that betrayal was something Athena didn't forgive, she weaponized it. Within 48 hours, Michael's world began to unravel. First, the black credit card stopped working. Then, the Range Rover he'd been gifted disappeared from the garage, repossessed. His name was erased from all business records, his corporate email deactivated, and his face removed from every company website. When he tried to check into a hotel using his wife's account, the receptionist politely informed him it no longer existed. He was now just Michael again. A nobody. And Athena made sure of it. But it wasn't enough. Because somewhere deep inside, despite her power and precision, Athena was still a woman scorned. In rage, no matter how elegantly dressed, is still rage. So she went further. She hired a private investigator, not to track Michael, but to track Julia. And what she found was the final knife to the heart. Julia was pregnant. 3 months along. The ultrasound was posted on her Instagram story, just visible enough, likely only meant for a select few. A quiet celebration. But Athena had eyes everywhere. She stared at the blurry black and white image for a long time, feeling nothing and everything at once. So this was what he chose. A girl who giggled at his jokes and worshipped him like a king. A girl who'd give him a child. A future. Athena had dreamed of children once, too. Before him. Before she realized he didn't want her future, he wanted her fortune. That night, she sat alone in her study, the fireplace crackling, a storm outside rolling over the sea. And she made a decision. She wouldn't destroy him with drama. She'd erase him with elegance. The next morning, Michael received a letter, not an email, not a call. A letter, sealed in black wax with Athena's crest. Inside, it read, "I gave you the world. You gave me lies. I will not scream. I will not beg. I will simply let the silence devour you. You are no longer a chapter in my story, you are a footnote in a cautionary tale. Tell Julia congratulations. And goodbye." The signature was clean. Bold. Athena. But this wasn't over. Because Michael wasn't letting go. A week later, he showed up at her office. Unshaven. Desperate. Security tried to stop him, but she allowed him up. He stood in front of her glass desk, soaked from the rain, his hands trembling. "Athena, please. Let me explain. I made a mistake. She means nothing. You're my wife." She looked up from her laptop slowly, her expression unreadable. She corrected. "You were my husband. Athena. You cheated. You lied. You embarrassed me in my city, in my hotel, with someone I paid to shine your shoes. And now you come here? For what? Forgiveness? I love you. You love what I gave you." He stepped closer. "I was stupid. I didn't know how to handle everything you gave me. The power, the life. It scared me. You should be scared now." He paused. "What do you mean?" She leaned forward slightly, her voice calm, dangerous. "Check your name. Check your identity. Check the documents you signed when I made you partner. You didn't read them, did you?" He frowned. "What are you talking about? You don't own your name anymore, Michael." "I do. You signed the rights away when I added you to the company. I trademarked it. I own your image, your signature, even the name of your startup you were secretly building using my contacts. You're lying." She smiled coldly. "Try to open a bank account. Or publish an article. Or even start a business. You'll see. You're not Michael Hunter anymore. You're just a ghost." He stood there, trembling, speechless. Athena sipped her coffee. "Leave my building. And don't come back." Michael stood frozen in place, her words echoing in his skull. "You're not Michael Hunter anymore. You're just a ghost." He looked at her, hoping, begging, for some trace of the woman he once charmed, once laughed with under foreign stars, once touched beneath silk sheets. But she wasn't that woman anymore. Maybe she never had been. She didn't flinch. Didn't blink. Didn't soften. And for the first time since they'd met, he was afraid of her. Not because she raised her voice. But because she didn't have to. "Security will escort you out," she said, her voice as cool as the air in the office. "But He began. "Michael," she interrupted, her tone final, "I'm not angry anymore. That should scare you more than anything else." He opened his mouth, but no sound came. He turned and left. The sound of the heavy doors closing was almost ceremonial, like the final bang of a gavel in court. Judgment had been passed. The trial was over. Athena sat back in her chair, breathing slowly. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment before she closed the laptop. It wasn't just over with Michael, it was over with the version of herself that had once believed in him. She stood up, walked to the tall windows overlooking the city. The rain had stopped. The clouds were beginning to break. Sunlight was slicing through them in long, golden beams. Down below, she could see the streets, people moving like ants, busy with their lives. She used to envy that kind of simplicity. Now, she understood the cost of living above it. Love had made her human. Betrayal had made her steel. She picked up her phone and made a call. "Juliet," she said when her assistant answered. "Yes, Miss Vasilakis." "Schedule a press conference for Friday. I'm taking the company fully public." There was a pause. "You're serious?" "Deadly." "And, what about the matter with Mr. Hunter?" Athena turned slightly, her eyes narrowing at her own reflection in the glass. "Make sure every legal route has been executed. I want it airtight. And if he tries to retaliate, I want a response ready. Quiet. Precise." "Understood." She hung up and stood still for a moment longer. In her silence, there was power. In her heartbreak, there was strategy. Her marriage had been a lesson. A costly one. But lessons were what forged titans. And Athena was no longer interested in love stories. She was building legends. She walked to the small bar in her office, poured herself a single glass of aged scotch, not because she needed a drink, but because it was what her father had always done after a victory. She raised it toward the empty room. "To betrayal," she whispered. "And the empires it builds." Then she smiled. Because Michael didn't just lose her. He lost everything. And she? She had never felt so free. The end.